Okay, it is 6 o'clock p.m. on November 12th, 2025. We'll call this meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Northern Regional Advisory Council meeting. This meeting is being held in person at the Weber County Commission chambers and is also being streamed live on YouTube. This public forum allows you to express your opinions and ideas on wildlife management in our state. This RAC considers your feedback on the proposals before us today and reports them to the Wildlife Board. The Wildlife Board, not the RAC, is charged with setting wildlife policy for our state. We all have ideas and opinions about what is best for Utah's wildlife. It's why we're here today. We encourage those who want to express their opinion to fill out a comment card. Comments at today's meeting should be focused on topics listed on the agenda. Unrelated comments will not be heard today and should be sent directly to DWR or RAC and board members for consideration at another time. We expect those in attendance to respect the people who speak, especially those who hold views that don't align with their own. Respectful behavior facilitates efficient meetings where RAC members can listen, digest, and address the concerns, ideas, and proposals being presented. Disrespectful behavior will not be tolerated, and those who engage in it will be asked to leave. Lastly, please help reduce distractions during the meeting by putting your phone on silent, and if you need to take a call, we ask that you step outside. And as always, we ask as we leave tonight, we exit out the west front doors of the building here, please. Okay, I'd like to welcome all of our RAC members here tonight. We'll go through introductions. Let's start over here with Wyatt.
Wyatt Selman, Agriculture.
Rob Dale, Public at Large.
James Carlson at Large.
Garrett Larson, Watchable Wildlife.
Hunter Stallings, Agriculture.
Brandon Zodel, Public at Large.
I'm Brad Buchanan, representing Sportsman. We do have a few RAC members that are excused tonight. Avery Cook, Darren Perry, Steve Sorensen, Jessica Wade, Ryan Brown, and Jamie Butler. We do want to welcome the DWR staff, especially those that will be providing presentations and are available to answer questions throughout the meeting. Ginger Stout, Sam Robertson, Clint Sampson, Lindy Barney, and Darren DeBloy. I'd like to welcome the public that are attending in person and that are watching on YouTube. Those that are attending in person will have the opportunity to provide comments regarding any agenda item. If you wish to make a comment, you must fill out the comment card in the back there for the item you wish to address and see that we receive it prior to RAC discussion. You can hand those cards over to Jody over here on the side. The public that are watching on YouTube will not be able to provide live comments during the meeting. However, presentations were provided for viewing online and the public was able to provide comments to the RAC members for this meeting. Perfect timing. Well, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Ross Worthington, Public at Large. Sorry for being tardy.
All right. Let's start off with it's agenda item number 2. It is the approval of the agenda and minutes from the last meeting. Get a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ross, seconded by Wyatt for approval of the agenda minutes. All in favor? Let's do a raise of hand. Okay, motion passes unanimous. All right. We'll now move to the Wildlife Board meeting update. This is from the last Wildlife Board meeting that took place September 18th. And first motion was to approve the Southeast Region Big Game Management Plans as presented by the division, and that passed unanimously. We then had a motion to approve the mid-plan review for mountain goat and bighorn sheep as presented by the division. That also passed unanimously. The conservation permit audit had a motion to approve as presented, and that passed unanimously with 1 recusal. And conservation permit annual report, the motion was to approve as presented by the division. That passed unanimously with one recusal. For the Expo permit audit, had a motion to accept as presented, and that passed unanimously with one recusal. And Expo permit allocation for 2026, the motion was to approve as presented by the division. That passed unanimously with one recusal. And the final topic was the 2026 RAC and board meeting dates. And that motion was to approve as presented by the division, and that passed unanimously. Any questions from anyone from the last board meeting? Okay. Let's move on to regional update. Jim.
Okay, thank you. Glad to be here. Excuse Blair, he's out on a hunting trip, and so that's a good place for him to be. So I'll give the Northern Region update for tonight. Next slide. Okay, with our administrative section, I just wanted to give a few key dates for us to remember. So this weekend, the Bobcat hunt begins. Middle of next week, the sportsman permit application period ends. So get your applications filled out for that. And then December 16th, hard to believe that we're already planning for next spring hunts. So limited entry turkey permit application period begins on December 16th. Okay, next slide. Our aquatic section, they've had a busy fall, doing a lot of surveys and gill netting. Did some surveys out on Ogden River. That's where the picture come from, down on the Ogden River, the big brown trout out by one of our biologists there. They've been doing some kokanee salmon spawner counts at Rockport, East Canyon, and Porcupine reservoirs. Gill netting at Bear Lake in Willard Bay, and working with the Least Chub refuge ponds. Next slide. They've also been working with tagged fish in Pineview, tiger muskies. Been getting a lot of data out of those. The data is showing they're using pretty much the whole reservoir up there. They've tagged 20 adults and 75 juveniles. They've got over 1 million points from spring tagged adults, and pushing up onto just shy of 400,000 points from fall tagged adults and juveniles. And that movement that they've been seeing across all the different arms of the lake is more than expected for both adults and juveniles. Next slide. Out on the Great Salt Lake, they've been doing some eared grebe surveys. When they were doing that, they did come across a disease outbreak. It is, as bad as it is kind of a normal thing out there. They estimated about 5,000 individuals had died in that. So in the grand scheme of things, that's actually not too bad for what they've had out there before. But it's never good to have them, but as long as they're limited, that's a good thing. Typically what they get out there is avian cholera is what impacts the grebes. The Great Salt Lake Ecosystem Program also manages the brine shrimp harvest out there. And up to this point in this collection season, they've rounded up almost 16 million pounds in their harvest. Outreach this last Saturday, there was a beginner pheasant hunt out at Ogden Bay WMA. 56 of the 60 people who had signed up came out. There is really good birds. Huge thank you to Sportsman for Fish and Wildlife for providing the birds for that. The birds really acted real similar to wild birds. There were plenty of opportunities for the beginning hunters to get their limits, and very few actually got them. So it was a good time though to get out and learn and get their hands on in the field. The whole point of that event is to increase interest in upland game hunting. Next slide. Our outreach section, they also do our Facebook posts and give information to everybody there. They did a post over tiger trout that was stocked in 6 community ponds. Anglers are excited to catch them, and the post has been viewed almost 200,000 times. So there's a lot of interest in that post, and our outreach crew does a great job with those. Law enforcement has had a busy fall with illegal harvests. Hate to see this one, but glad that they're on top of it. Since October, there's been 20 deer, 12 elk, 3 moose, and 1 pronghorn illegally killed. And they've been working through those cases. On personnel side, Jordan Hastings has returned to the East Box Elder District. He previously worked for us in that position, left for a while, worked in Perry with Perry City, and then come back this year. We're glad to have him back. And then our other change is Holly Swiss has transferred to Davis County, and she was working with Outdoor Rec, and we're glad to have her with wildlife now. Glad to have her in that position. Next slide. On the wildlife side of things, we recently did our chronic wasting disease check stations. We're still pending a lot of those results, but they were in the cache and box elder units this year. We were able to see some great deer come out, and was able to get some samples off of those deer that did come and get checked. That's going along. We started a urban chronic wasting disease study. It'll be in Davis, Weber, and Cache counties. So a lot of this, we're gonna kind of double team the information on this. We'll be able to get some movement data on these deer that are either staying in town all the time or transitioning from the mountain into town. Usually that happens with the wintertime months. So we'll be able to get that. And then once those deer die, then we'll do our intensive disease sampling on those deer. Our biologists have started classifying our postseason deer classifications. They've started those. That's a 2-pronged approach. We use that to help with our population estimates, but also this is the data that we use for our buck deer permit recommendations that will be coming up next spring. With that, starting the first week of December, we're going to be doing our deer collaring efforts with the helicopter. So they'll be catching deer and putting the collars on across the region that week. Next slide. With David Smedley moving to the central region, we've had a chain of several wildlife vacancies open up and new positions filled. So on top of that is Jayla Walden. She's our Morgan Southridge East Canyon biologist. She was selected as the new assistant regional wildlife manager. Haley Waymont was previously in the landowner specialist position in the Morgan and Summit counties, and she was selected to be the new Summit District wildlife biologist. And we had a new position out in Box Elder County as a landowner specialist, and Calvin Hawkins came from the central region to fill that position. And one more, Tiffany Turco is our chronic wasting disease and turkey trapping technician. Typically that position runs from mid-September through about the 1st to middle of March. And so we'll have her around helping with those duties. And we still have one position open. It's for the Morgan County, Summit County landowner specialist that that Haley Wayman vacated. And so we've got that process going forward. And so hopefully we'll be interviewing for that here in a couple weeks. With our habitat crew, they held a management plan committee on the East Canyon for the East Canyon WMA and the Golden Hills habitat. So we had purchased new ground on that south end of East Canyon. And so working with state parks to come up with a management plan there as well as with other committee members. We'll be finalizing that plan in the spring of 2026. Next slide. Also with the WMAs this fall, they've been really busy on our Hennifer Echo, Woodruff Co-op, and Millville Providence WMAs. They've planted over 10,000 sagebrush seedlings up to this point. The next slide will show the dozer with the scalper on it. Goes into these areas of that frankly have minimal deer habitat in them, move out that undesirable vegetation, and it frees up that dirt for the good vegetation that we want in there. So they've been working hard at that, and hopefully we can get it to look like the other picture there with the deer in it. That deer was up on Hennifer Echo. Next slide. Another thing the habitat crew's been working with the wildlife section on are deer silhouettes. Putting these out, had some dedicated hunters make these silhouettes so we can put in the road right of ways or next to it. We've got to keep them out of the right of way. So here's our pitch. If you know of any places outside the road right of way where we could put some of these to help warn motorists that there are deer in that area and to slow down, we're placing those out across the region. We put some reflective paint on there, so even at night the light from the cars should shine on them and be able to warn people to watch for deer. Hopefully that'll get people to pay attention a little more. Here a couple months ago, we held our initial Northern Region mule deer meeting, and we're going to split that into two separate committees now, a North Committee and a South Committee. These committees, we're going to be talking about deer population challenges and opportunities, similar to the roadkill challenge. There's several things impacting deer populations in northern Utah and across the state. And so these committees are going to discuss those challenges and opportunities that are available to help the populations. So our South meeting will be held December 3rd, and the North meeting will be held December 4th. And the division has created a new website with some awesome information about mule deer in the state and research and other information that is very helpful and interesting to look at. And so if you're interested, that website is listed there, and encourage anybody to go and take a look at that site. Do have some RAC member opportunities coming up, and if any of you is interested in getting out, just get a hold of me and we'll get you lined up with one of our biologists to go out and help. So we've got the postseason deer classifications as well as the deer captures, both the urban project and the helicopter captures that are coming, that you're welcome to come and help with. So with that, I think that's the end of the slide. So thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Is there a volunteer opportunity to drive the dozer?
Maybe you'll have to talk to Melissa.
All right. Thanks, Jim. Any questions for Jim from the regional update from any RAC members? Okay. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 5, mandatory testing for chronic wasting disease with Ginger Stout.
Hello.
Welcome. Any clarifications or corrections or anything from the presentation that we need to be aware of?
Nope.
Okay. All right, let's start off with questions from RAC members. Some of mine got answered earlier with some of the others, but you said the goal was 300 samples.
Correct.
I think looking at harvest data, that seems pretty optimistic, being that we've harvested less than 300 for the past few years. So I assume we're just going to take what we can get through that process.
Correct.
Okay. Being that some of the positive tests have been from elk in Ogden, I guess that just raises a question: why wouldn't we carry over mandatory testing to, like, say, the antlerless elk side of it in the unit?
So we'll be doing elk testing as well, but that'll be on a voluntary basis.
Okay.
So we'll have the unit as a target unit overall, but since this is a new concept for Utah, we wanted to introduce it in a pretty limited space. So that's why we went with just deer to begin with. In the future, we do plan on potentially expanding to other species or other hunts.
Okay. Can you just give us, I guess, brief, what does it look like for someone to turn their head in and get it tested? Where does it have to go? Who has to do the testing or take the samples, I guess I should say?
That's a great question. So typically our main sampling strategy has been with check stations, but since this is a mandatory process, we're going to expand the opportunity for people to submit samples. So we'll have either freezers around, we'll have different drop-off stations besides the Ogden office, but that will be another place people can drop samples. I'll also be doing a video demonstrating how hunters can take their own samples. So then they can just take the samples out, put them in the bag, and then submit it to whatever's closest.
Okay.
And then the biologists will be around. And since it's a pretty limited span of time as well, you know, the biologists can focus on that period of time to make sure they're more available for sample collection.
Okay. Yeah. So from the time of harvest to the time that sample needs to be taken or turned in, what is that span of time?
We'd like it as soon as possible, but if you keep it cool, you can, you know, turn it in the next day or 2 days later.
Okay.
So it's not an immediate thing.
Right.
You can, you know, do all your processing, keep it in the fridge if you're going to turn it in right away. If you take your own sample and have the lymph nodes in the baggies, you can actually freeze it and then turn it in, you know, it doesn't matter when at that point.
Okay.
Just so they're preserved.
Okay.
What would the repercussions be for somebody that doesn't turn it, since it is mandatory? I mean, there has to be some teeth in it, I'm sure.
Yeah, so this initial year will be a trial period. In the years following, we're going to assess how this first year went and then kind of decide from there. But in the rule, there's a fee associated.
So I know these opportunities, you're giving these opportunities on the Ogden unit, are they going to be expanded, like these easy drop-off opportunities throughout the whole state?
Yes.
Eventually, or
Eventually.
next year, but not next year, probably.
Next year we'll focus on Ogden, but since it is a big lift to get, you know, more sampling spots, it'll be a process over the next couple of years.
Sure. And then I know you're really focusing on like and you kind of already answered this, I guess, but you're focusing on the any legal weapon. But as we're like struggling to get other data points throughout the state, is there an opportunity to kind of push muzzleloader and archery hunters to submit some of those samples as well? Just because I know like any legal weapon, 60% of the tags, but just helping get those data points up there. Is that an option?
So with the voluntary testing, the whole target unit in any hunt is recommended. But since we're just implementing this mandatory testing, we wanted to limit the time frame. But yes, if there is archery or muzzleloader sample we can have, we're more than willing to test it.
Any other questions from RAC members? Any questions from the public? All right. Let's summarize public comments.
Hey, there was one response online to this one, and they somewhat agree with this. They did leave a comment that if you can make it mandatory, the testing centers must be readily manned and available to hunters.
Yes, we plan on that.
Okay. I don't have a public comment card for this agenda item, so if anybody has any public comments from this, if you can fill out a card and get it turned in to us. So with that, we'll open it up for RAC discussion.
Next.
It is informational.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's why Jody was giving me a weird look over there.
I mean, you can talk about it. But.
Yeah, all right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad you got control of your meeting now, Jim. All right. Let's move on to agenda item number 6, 2025 to 2027 hunt tables and season dates revisions with Sam Robertson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm the Cache Ogden District Biologist, so I don't have any clarifications or anything. Just so if there's any questions, be happy to answer them.
Okay. Let's start off with any questions from RAC members on this one.
With the change with the extended archery up there, is that something you're trying to put into effect this year, like, or is this next year going forward?
I'm hoping it'll be, next year going forward. I'm hoping it'll help address some of the issues we have on private land and depredation issues we have up there.
I just happened chance to have a neighbor that was asking me about it because they literally know the landowners and they're trying to figure out how to navigate that problem. They said it's been a bit of a challenge. So I think this is a great solution to help those landowners and take care of that problem and provide opportunity. I like the way you addressed it with the Henny Bowl and to hopefully draw more interest and stuff with it. But anyway, that's all I got.
Any other questions? Any questions from the public? Okay. Let's summarize public comments. Did we have one on this?
Yep, one. Again, there was only one person that responded to all of them, so.
Okay.
This one was neutral on the proposal. The comment is if you have private landowners that have issues with elk, I feel that they would need to allow the extended archery hunters to hunt on their property, not just sections of the walk-in access or by paying trespass fees.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Got 2 public comment cards for this. Russ Sheridan. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, if you want to come up to the microphone, please, and state your name.
We're leaving a lot of money on the table with the elk herd. We used to have a
Sorry, will you
three-season
state your
elk
name
tag,
first?
as you remember. Sorry, Russ Sheridan, representing myself.
Thank you.
I just think we're leaving a lot of money on the table because before we had a 3-season elk tag and a few people squawked about it saying it was overcrowding. I think it was mostly archery hunters, but that was before we opened up quite a few of those other areas in the state of Utah. And I think if we brought back either a dedicated elk tag or a multi-season elk tag, we could make a lot of money. I mean, we're not selling out the permits like we did before. We had the waiting list. We're waiting in line. We're selling out in 8 hours. Now I don't even think we sold out that first season. But if we could offer the public a 3-season, a 2-season, even a 4-season now, since there's 4 seasons, I think that would be profitable, win-win, get people in the field. And I think we're missing the boat. We're stressing all this service and money for the deer herd. What about the elk? I mean, these elk projects could help the deer herd as well. And there's another option that if you think out of the boat, if we could offer a limited entry, limited quota, 5-year wait, $280 fee, whatnot, offered that tag in general season areas, but you had the limited entry dates. You can hunt all 4 seasons that coincided with the limited entry elk dates. That way, we could relieve some of the pressure from these other limited entry units that are butt plugged from the point creep and whatnot and backed up. And there's people who are willing to say, well, yeah, it's not a great unit, but if I can hunt all 4 seasons that coincide with the limited entry elk dates, I'll wait in line, or I'll drop my money on that and relieve the pressure on the Manti, Wasatch, or whatnot. So I just want to propose that we start thinking about more opportunity to hunt elk. Again, that second season is unlimited. What's a few tags going to hurt? If the archery hunters complain of what or whatnot, we offer it for rifle, first and second rifle, and muzzy hunt only. Or we cap the unit, or cap the units or whatnot. And that's just kind of what I propose. And I don't think there's any bad of anything I've thought about. If you have any questions for me, I've kind of thought it through. I'd love to answer them.
Okay, thank you. I think it's, where's Dax? Mid-plan elk review next year? Yep. So
All right,
2026 would be
Maybe
a
I'll
great
put
opportunity
something
with
here,
that.
Dax.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
All right,
Appreciate it.
thank you. Okay, Kevin Norman, representing SFW.
Kevin Norman, representing SFW. Just coming in support of Sam's plan here. I actually live in this new boundary, and it's been an ongoing problem for years trying to deal with the elk, and Sam's done a phenomenal job navigating that, tweak and this and that, and I think he's hit a home run with this plan to keep pressure on the elk and pushed up where they belong a little better. With bulls and cows, people will be excited and go keep some pressure on them. So can't thank Sam enough. I've kind of been the squeaky wheel on this when my kids are out getting on the bus and there's guys banging around rifles. It's kind of sketchy. So this should help a ton for lots of reasons, with the producers, the ag, and also safety. So good job, Sam. Appreciate all you've done on this. Thanks.
Thanks, Kevin. All right, that's all the public comments cards we have. We'll open it up for RAC discussion.
I think this is a great, it's not going to be a one size fits all. There's a lot of different moving parts in this, and the elk herd in this area, we actually own private ground in this area on where they winter, and there's more elk, the population is increasing. You've got pretty much 3 different herds that are all coming together right there on the south end of Hiram. And so it is a problem. And so I think this is going to be a great tool to keep pressure on these elk, to bump them back to the south where they need to be, or up into the foothills. I just wonder if at that same time with a cow tag, with the cow hunt that goes until January 31st, if we keep pressure on the foothills above, we're just chasing them back and forth. I wonder if a solution in the future might be shorten that cow hunt. When winter hits, they get left alone up there, December 10th, December 15th, and just shut off the pressure from above. So we're not just pushing them back and forth.
Yeah, that's a great comment. We're actually, this year, we have a cow only archery hunt because we couldn't get the bull to go through soon enough.
Mm-hmm.
But we also cut off our cow hunts to the end of December.
Oh, you did this year? Okay. Because they were going till January, if I'm correct, right? They
Yeah.
were in the
Yeah,
past.
we did have, last year went till January 15th. So it was a problem because they were bouncing back and forth and it was hard to keep
Right.
them up where they needed to be.
Right. I mean, you got those south slopes that might be bared off, but once they get bumped off those and the snow's deep, they're not going back,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So I think that's great if you're
We-
bumping that closer.
We will still have mitigation permits for landowners that will go through January. But
Okay.
Any other comments from RAC members? I do echo kind of the same thing, and this has happened a few times over the past few years. Appreciate the division's willingness to think outside the box and be a bit flexible with how we're starting to approach some of these things when we have some problem areas, and being a little bit surgical, especially with elk. They're a nuisance animal. Hi, Sam. So, okay. No other comments. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve these table and season dates as I don't know. I'm still struggling with all those as presented. Thank you.
I'll second it.
All right. All right. Motion by Wyatt, seconded by Hunter, to approve the 2025 to 2027 hunt table and season date revisions as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, we'll call for a vote. Wyatt?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
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 Motion passes unanimous. Thank you. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Okay. I've skipped over this like 4 times now, so I do want to recognize we have 3 members of the Wildlife Board online, and thankfully 1 special one in person with us today. So Gary Nilsson, Paula Richmond, and Kent Johnson online, and Justin Oliver has joined us here in the room. So, okay, agenda item number 7, the Book Cliffs Bison Management Plan with Clint Sampson. Okay, any clarifications or any corrections that needed from your presentation that was online?
No.
Okay.
No, we're good to go.
Let's we'll open it up with questions from the RAC. Like a pretty good makeup off your committee that was part of this. There was tribal representative on that committee as well, right? And that's
Yes.
always been an ongoing concern. We've had to work with them, right, with this one. So one question I had is, how often are they crossing into Colorado?
You know, pretty rare. You can see it on the maps in the presentation. There's kind of like a electric fence right there, like an invisible fence, because as soon as they do cross into Colorado, they get shot. That is changing this January. Colorado is now going to value bison as a wildlife species. Previously, they're just basically trespass livestock to them, and individuals can just shoot them over there. And so pretty rare. I did hear a report that maybe somebody killed one earlier this fall, but not a lot of them going over. But again, as soon as I say they don't, like, they're pretty much like my teenage daughters.
Yeah.
Be wanting to do something, and then
Yeah.
as soon as I ask them to do that, they will change their minds.
Yeah.
And so you never know. But
Yeah, and I
as
was
of now,
interested in guessing what Colorado's tolerance for them is. It sounds like that's changing a little bit, which is a good thing. So,
Yep.
Okay, good. Any other questions?
We talked about the permittee that has the grazing rights. And
Yes.
anyway, I just thought that was, when we talked earlier, I thought that was good. I asked you if the permittee was happy with your proposal to have more permits and more animals on there. Could you tell us what they told you?
Yeah, you bet. And just the committee in general, we'd really tried to reach out to the ag side of things and be as transparent as we could with them. And in the meeting, we asked, the gentleman's name's Clay McCagney. We asked Clay, like, hey, how many, can you tolerate on this Bitter Creek area? Because those are the bison that are home bodies. They stay year round on the Book Cliffs. The Little Creek, the smaller portion of the Book Cliffs that borders the tribe, that's where we get a lot of migration, seasonal use from that, 400 that we're proposing in there. And so we asked him, and he's the one that came up with the number 250. And so we just, went with that. And I think we've shown that we can manage that Bitter Creek herd to those numbers. We've had to keep those numbers down in the past because of the influx we get when we count the animals that migrate from the tribe towards our objective. And so we've had in the past to really keep those numbers down where we could, on that Bitter Creek herd. And so I think, increasing those animals to about 250 will really help the sportsmen have a good positive experience out there. Previous, it was just go to one ridge, you know, you spend 2 or 3 days on that ridge, you're going to find the buffs, you're going to find the bison and have a good hunt. Now it's border to border and you're looking for the same, you know, that small number of animals. It can be very difficult. So I think it'll be a great opportunity for sportsmen.
Any other questions? Any questions from the public? Okay. Summarize public comments on this one.
One response that is neutral and no comments.
All right. No public comment cards on this agenda item, so let's open it up for RAC discussion.
I just want to echo kind of what you said there, Clint. Appreciate you asking about the permittee and including agriculture in that discussion. That always goes a long ways.
One question: when they do migrate, how many do you figure come to that other herd on the?
In the roadless area?
Yeah.
Oh, we can get anywhere, just like total numbers, cows, calves, bulls. We could see anywhere from, over, 300 to probably just under 5 some years. They want to be in there and they'll usually winter in there. And then as soon as it starts to green up, they'll push back onto the tribe and then calve and then come back in about end of July or so.
Okay. I know we say this quite often with some of these plans coming through with the sheep plan and this one as well. There's a lot of coordination that goes into a committee that deals with large animals like the bison and dealing with producers and trying to thread that needle. So that's a tough spot to be in. Appreciate your work there and your efforts from you and the division and being able to get us into a pretty good spot where we look for opportunities to grow this herd and at the same time. And
you're welcome. The committee was great. Everyone had a great spirit of, compatibility and compromise. And it was great.
Well, thank you. Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to accept the Book Cliffs Bison Management Plan as presented.
I second that motion.
Okay. A motion by Robert, seconded by Garrett to approve the Bookless Bison Management Plan as presented. And call for a vote. Wyatt?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
James?
Yes. Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Garrett?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimous. All right. Agenda item number 8, R657-42 amendments, natural disaster relief. Wendy Varney.
Good evening.
Welcome. Anything to add beyond your presentation that was online?
Nope.
Okay.
You've had a fun year.
It's been an exciting year.
All right.
One more month.
One more month, yeah. Let's start with questions from RAC members.
Notice that seemed like with one or more of the remedies, there was quite a bit of discretion for the director in making a final decision, but I'm not sure that I saw any real criteria, objective criteria. Is that intentional or am I misreading it, do you think?
So, there was some criteria in there. So for the director to be able to grant relief for a natural disaster on a unit. So this rule kind of has 2 different parts to it, one for an actual permit holder and then one for a unit. So the director has the authority, if this is approved, if they meet the criteria of more than 50% of the hunting opportunities are unavailable and access to more than 50% of the public land within the individual hunt unit has been closed by an administrative state or federal government. So those are the 2 criteria that have to be met for the director to be given the authorization to start looking at remedies.
It's the remedy part that I'm talking about.
Yeah, so the
In terms of,
remedies-
it seemed like that was fairly broad
That
in terms
is.
of discretion.
Yeah. So he can kind of like,
I assume that's intentional,
It
but
was.
what's the thinking on that?
it depends on on the situation of what the natural disaster is. It just depends. We have he has his leadership team that he would talk with and kind of talk about like, hey, we can do this, this, or this. What do you think is best for this type of situation? And then they would figure out, how to address it. Like just this year, like on the Monroe unit, this is kind of where this is stemming from. It ended up being the director and leadership team said, well, let's give our hunters the choice. And so that's kind of where he wanted to like have all the options. And then from there, he can decide what needs to be best done for that particular unit and the hunters within it.
Lindy, the one bullet point says if a natural disaster affects a hunting unit, more than 50% of hunting opportunities are unavailable.
Mhm.
All right, I'll ask the dumb question. Define hunting opportunities in season length and permits.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables to that, and that was intentional because like it could be, is it 50% of the hunting season is used up, or habitat? Not just because like 50% of the acreage of the units burned. Some units 50% doesn't even touch some of the herds, and so it would still be a very viable hunting unit. And so like 50% of the habitat those species reside on is been destroyed by the natural disaster, those kind of things. So it has a lot of variables, and also like the timing of when the fire starts or the natural disaster occurred. It may affect one season but not a different season, and that's kind of what happened this year. With the archery season on Monroe, they got some relief, but then any legal weapon hunt did not, because by then everything was open back up. They were starting to see, habitat to come back. And so those options were not, offered to them because it was still a very desired hunt to go out there that time of year.
Yeah. So like, for example, on the archery hunt, if you're 5 days into the archery hunt, that closes down, you've got just 80% of your hunt left or something. But
and that's where
if you get to 3 days left in the archery hunt, you've already hunted whatever it is, 95% of the hunt,
yeah.
then that may not be an option.
Exactly.
Okay.
And like I said, it has different variables. It's kind of like a vague but not vague for a reason. So then we can we can look at the whole situation, see what's going on, and then address it best to help our hunters.
Okay. Any other questions from RAC members?
Again, kind of maybe dumb question.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you'll have some of those areas that are impacted like earlier in the year, and then area might be open, not closed anymore, that you got to stay out, but that you've got easily. Hold a step back. But like you'll still have road closures and limited accessibility. It's nothing to do with accessibility as long as the unit's open, correct? Just like get out and hike, right? It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, the Monroe was a unique fire. We're using that as an example because this is where it's coming from. It's one that's happened. We haven't had a fire like that in decades. And so like 80% of the closures, like there was no access for our hunters to get onto the unit because they were closed by federal governments. So those kind of things would take place. But yeah, if one road's closed doesn't mean the whole unit's closed. And that's why I say, it just depends. And that's where our director at that time will, evaluate everything, work with his leadership team, and they will have the options to figure out what's best for our hunters.
Okay. Any questions for the public? Summarize public comment.
Yep, one response, and they somewhat agree.
All right.
No comment.
Okay. All right. We'll open it up for RAC discussion.
I just want to say I kind of like these kinds of things coming through because otherwise we're having to have emergency board meetings in order to get these things through when we really don't need to. If we can give the division a little bit of latitude to make some common sense decisions, And this is one more in a list of these that have gone through, but I like this. I like seeing this because like the Monroe, we had to have an emergency meeting. Let's eliminate the need for these emergency meetings when we can allow the division to make this decision without having to go through a process. So I like it.
Yeah, I thought it was a very common sense approach that you guys are taking. I appreciate your presentation.
Okay. Entertain a motion? You got a comment?
I just have a comment. I mean, I think it's good. I do like it. I think if I was a person with one of those tags, I'd like it. I do think with maybe some of the flexibility when there's always gray area in a business policy, which is essentially, what this is, there's going to be people that ask to be included in that. And I think that I would just caution that there may be more requests than you may like to see in the future that, and obviously you can just deny them, but maybe some upset people as this goes forward other than the kind of the limited policy that's been, which is, if you're not getting deployed or had a death, or some huge medical issue, your tag's your tag, and that's just what it is. And that can be a little harsh, but it does limit some legwork that'll probably take place in the future. So.
Thank you. All right. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion by Brandon, seconded by Wyatt to approve the R657-42 amendments as presented. Any discussion on the motion? All right. Call for a vote, Wyatt.
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Garrett?
Yes.
Hunter?
Yes.
Yes.
Brandon? Motion passes unanimous. Thanks, Lindy.
Thank you.
All right, agenda item number 9. CWMU and landowner permit recommendations. Darren, welcome.
I do have a couple of informational updates.
Okay.
In the presentation for the Salt Wells renewal, Salt Wells CWMU in Box Elder County, it said 0 acreage change. There actually was a significant acreage change on that. They're actually dropping 28,614 acres from that CWMU, which might help make sense in the fact that they're dropping deer and dropping 10 pronghorn tags. So I think that clarification. Tonight we're primarily talking about permits, but I think that's important. The other is once again, informational, just so that folks know if they put in for this hunt past, the 2 Bear CWMU will be dropping elk from their CWMU. And so, if that's one that someone in the public's put in for in the past, that'll no longer be an opportunity. They're keeping their other stuff. So on that note, otherwise, yeah, I think the presentation probably speaks for itself. So I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay. Let's open it up for questions from RAC members.
Yeah, I got a question. Could you talk about, I know Pat Ridge is adding 4 elk tags, and in the spreadsheet it was talking about a CWMU reciprocity program that those would probably be going to, not necessarily getting killed on the unit. Could you talk a little bit about what that program is, how that would work, where those tags would go?
Yeah, so there is a reciprocal tag opportunity within the CWMU program. So several CWMUs can voluntarily participate in that program if they want to. The way that works is that the permits that may be issued for one could be used on partner CWMUs, and sometimes that's to maybe the elk are on one place where they move across them, and they may work cooperatively to take cows, for example. And so it's just a handful of CWMUs that do it. In this case, I think my recollection of the region was telling me is that they have that program in place, and some of these extra bull tags that they'd really like to focus towards special hunters, wounded warriors, hunters with special needs. And so the biologist felt like you could sustain that harvest. They don't think, these are lower success hunts in a lot of cases. And so it's probably going to result in a whole lot more animals being harvested, but those opportunities are really great, especially for the folks that are able to participate in them. So I hope that answers. your
Yeah, it
question.
does. Just a dumb question. So like in this case, the other CWMUs, you know, I guess in compact with Patmos Ridge, they'd have to also be already enrolled as an elk CWMU to be able to use that tag, not just a deer CWMU that's also gets to use that tag.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Any other questions? I'll be a little honest. And I
Okay.
know Tom's here. I was a little surprised to see that big of a jump in antelope tags on Deseret in 1 year.
Yeah, I'm sure if you want
It's,
Tom to address it, it sounds like that herd is.
yeah, I mean,
pretty kind of
obviously
weak
they're
with transplant.
comfortable with that number,
fair
but
number, but
that's,
again, that'd be Sam or
yeah.
Tom, if you're curious, I'm sure they could.
Have you been at zero prior to this, Tom? Yeah, on pronghorn? Okay. Okay.
So they cut them in basically.
Okay. All right.
Just to summarize for the notes, so they
Yeah.
cut them significantly, and then they feel like that population is growing, they're able to sustain that.
Okay. Is it Beaver Hollow is the new one?
Correct.
Is that,
That'd be a moose.
that's only moose?
Only
Is that the
moose.
only CWMU we have that's only moose?
I think so. Someone's shaking their head. Oh, Frank is
Oh,
going.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'm still learning all of these.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
It's the only one I've noticed so far,
Yeah.
but yeah. Most of them are going to be northern region.
Yeah. You've only got a little bit to understand in this role, so.
Yeah, I'll get there eventually. So I'm glad someone here knows what they're talking
Yeah.
about.
Okay, any questions from the public? All right, summarize public comments.
One response, they're neutral and no comments.
All right. No public comment cards, so we'll open it up for RAC discussion. Good enough. We'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the CWMU and landowner permit recommendations as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Ross, seconded by Robert. Any discussion on the motion? All right, call for a vote. Wyatt?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Garrett? Hunter?
Yes.
Brandon?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimous. Thanks, Darren. All right, that was our last agenda item, so motion to adjourn.
Just real quick. I see a lot of young faces. I'm guessing here from school projects and stuff like that. Love seeing you guys out here. This was a pretty quick, easy meeting. I'd encourage you to stay engaged and come show up to some of these other ones where we get a lot more participation, a lot more things. But love seeing you guys stay involved with just not our wildlife, but with all things. We need you guys in this new generation to help push things forward. So appreciate you guys being here.
Agreed. Thank you. Okay, thank you.